I have a question for you from a listener named Allison.
Hello, Allison.
Allison says, "Hi there. I have a personal question for you. Can you each tell the story of how you knew each other was, quote, the one?" She goes on to say, "You have a beautiful marriage, and I love listening to your podcast."
Well, thanks, Allison. I love this story, and I'm happy to share it.
Yes.
How we knew the other was the one. Well, we had a friendship that really helped us a lot. We had that as our foundation. We weren't, instantly romantic. It wasn't a blind date where there are kind of expectations, on the situations. We had a very relaxed atmosphere in our college years of getting to know one another through a Christian fellowship group that met on Friday nights, and that was over about a 3-year period where we were friends and getting to know one another. And so a lot of some of the basics were already answered. Like, I knew you had a strong faith. That was very important to me, and you knew I had a strong faith. That was important to you. But what happened and what developed in our relationship, some people think happened really quickly, because our first date was in March of 95, and I proposed to you 6 or 7 weeks after that in early May. And that does seem rather quick. But I think what helped with that was the foundation of our friendship. And I would say I knew, I've written about this in various books. I knew you were the one when what unfolded for me was how you loved people. You had this ability to love people that just ignited my heart. I remember going with you. You'll certainly remember. You took me when I first came to visit you. You were living in New Jersey after you graduated college, and I came to visit you. And one of the things that was most important for you was to take me to see your great-grandmother, who was how old at the time?
105.
105.
Yeah, she lived in a
nursing home. And I was impressed that was so important to you to take me to see her. And when we went to see her, I remember it made a big impression on me. We're walking through the nursing home, and I hadn't been in a nursing home since my own great-grandmother died in the 70s.
Right.
And I wasn't familiar or comfortable with being around old people and the not so pleasant smells of a nursing home.
Right.
And I remember walking in there, and my shoulders got a little tense, and I felt a little uncomfortable. But you were smiling at the people we passed in the hallway, and even bending down every once in a while to say hello and look someone in the eyes. And then we walked into your great-grandmother's room, and she was blind and could barely hear, so she didn't even know I was there. And you asked me not to make myself known,
right?
Because you didn't want her to feel uncomfortable or
right. That was
or
actually my grandmother said that I shouldn't tell her. So
okay.
It was her daughter who told me. Yeah.
So I was kind of just a fly on the wall as you did your typical routine of pulling out your guitar and singing to your great grandmother. And I sat in that chair and I watched you loving this woman. And I just felt this love flowing out of your heart. And I felt so privileged to be the man in your life and to have that genuine, sincere love flowing towards me as well. That was one of the initial wake-ups that I thought to myself, how could I possibly let go of this woman who knows how to love? And then there was another experience of the disinterestedness of your love for me. And it's a kind of a long story. I can't get into all the details for our listeners. You can read about it I think I write about this in Fill These Hearts and in my book, Love is Patient, But I'm Not, where I had been interested in this girl named Laura, who was part of this Christian fellowship group we were involved in. And during the 3 years that we were friends, I had come to learn you were hoping and praying one day I would be your husband. But I, during that very same time, was interested in somebody else. And we're at the point in our relationship where you wanted to learn more about this interest I had in this other person. And I was like, I don't want to tell you because I think you're going to be catty and jealous and it's going to make you upset. And you kind of insisted, so I told you more, and it was a really heartbreaking experience for me. And I remember we were on the phone, and at the end of that conversation of my sharing with you what had happened with this other girl, you kind of were choked up on the other end of the phone. And I thought, I knew it. She was just going to get upset. But you were upset because you were learning how much pain that caused me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went on to tell me the story of how you had observed that this girl and I had an interest for one another, but you had also observed that we never really had a relationship, and you started praying that she and I would get together because you felt there was some force keeping us apart,
Right.
namely her father. And I couldn't believe that during the same time that you were hoping and praying I would be your husband, you were actually observant of my interest in this other person, and you could tell there was some force keeping us apart, and you were praying that whatever that force was would be removed so she and I could have a relationship. And I remember saying, why were you praying for me to have this relationship with the other person? And you said,
There was a line in a song that you wrote that said, love is not self-satisfaction. Love means you lay down your life. And I listened to your music, and really that went into my heart so much. How can I lay down my life for this person whom I love, but love as a friend, because I knew that was the nature of our relationship, and praying for your good and for God's will for your life was the answer, I felt.
and I remember thinking, yeah, well, that was a lyric I wrote in a song, and yeah, it's a nice ideal, but nobody really lives it. I mean, it's just kind of a thing you say. But oh my gosh, I was experiencing genuine love flowing from your heart for me. Disinterested tenderness is what John Paul II calls that.
Mm-hmm.
Disinterested tenderness. Not that you're not interested in the person, but you're interested in not a selfish way.
Mm-hmm.
And that love that flowed out of your heart reached into my heart. And I remember thinking, I want to spend my whole life with you, because I need to know that love in my life. I had not known that love in my life. And it just drew me right into you. It drew me into wanting to give my life to you. So thanks for that, Wendy.
Hey, Allison, thanks for asking that question. I feel really blessed that you just inspired my husband to share those great stories. I enjoy hearing them.
25 years later, I can look back and say, I was right. You were the one.
Yes.
With all the
Thank
trials we've been through and sorrows and sufferings, the trajectory is joy and glory. And I was not wrong to say, this is the one I want to give my life to. That has been confirmed for me over and over and over again.
And I know for me, as I think back over that whole experience, both of our friendship and our dating, one of the things, and you talked about the foundation of faith, but which was really important to me. And I mean, crucial, I would say crucial.
Yeah.
Because there was somebody else that I had been interested in on and off, and with whom I didn't have that foundation of faith. And really, actually, another song that you wrote that I listened to.
Do I know the story?
I think
Keep
you
going.
do.
I'm not remembering it.
Yeah, it started, Lord, I gave my heart away again. I don't remember the title of the song. Really helped me to recognize that this other guy I was interested in didn't have what I needed in a husband, and it would just be dumb to mess around with his heart only to break up with him because he's not, what the Lord has in the plan for my heart. And so that sense, not just of the essential for me that we shared that faith, but also things that you said and shared really helped me to grow in my faith. Like I had a lot to learn. I had, just like anybody on the journey, we have like things we face and we don't know how to apply our faith to this situation. And just in our friendship, things that you would share were helping me to grow closer to the Lord, and that to grow in trust in Him and to grow in my understanding of ideas like receptivity and being the creature and the nature of God's life as gift to me, and not grasping. So all like things like that were really speaking to me in my journey, and that sense of wanting to continue to grow in faith together was a big deal. I also just thought you were really funny and fun, and I like that you like to eat off other people's plates and other silly things that, have nothing to do with any kind of master list, but just they just drew me to feel comfortable and happy with you. When we were finally discerning like marriage, I think by that point we had also found that we were able to share deep things from our story, our past, our struggles with one another, and be received, experience grace through that sharing. That was really exciting, but also kind of a little, I don't know, almost frightening if it weren't for the Lord leading us.
Yes.
And
I remember feeling that.
Yeah. So I think all of that's in there, and it's not any formula that anybody can say, okay, so I'll do what they did, but it is our story. And I know the Lord was, taking us the next step on our journey. Each of our journey had, with him had begun separately and had, come together through friendship. And then it just became clear that the next steps of both our lives were together.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to share it with people who need to hear this message, please do that, and consider subscribing to the channel.